There are countries in the world that sit just a few kilometers from the coast, yet getting access to the sea is almost impossible. One of the most iconic examples is Bosnia and Herzegovina. You might not be familiar with this long country name, but you've definitely heard of its capital, Sarajevo. On the map, Bosnia appears almost completely surrounded by Croatia on three sides. It looks landlocked, but if you zoom all the way in, and I mean to the maximum, you'll find a tiny sliver of coastline on the Adriatic Sea. That is the famous Neum Corridor, and all of this traces back to one small country's strategy of giving up land to survive. The Republic of Ragusa, modern-day Dubrovnik, was a wealthy maritime republic, but it had a major problem. After the Great Turkish War, Venice became the dominant power in the Adriatic. At that point, Venice's territory was dozens of times larger than Ragusa's, and was steadily tightening its grip on the tiny republic. Venetian territory to the north, Venetian territory to the south, and Venice's attitude was basically time for annexation. Meanwhile, its protector, the Ottoman Empire, was losing ground in Europe, a declining overlord and an aggressive neighbor. So Ragusa made a brilliant, almost counterintuitive move. If you can't offend Venice, then hide behind the Ottomans. How do you hide? By giving up land. Ragusa ceded two narrow strips of territory, the ones bordering Venice, to the Ottomans. This created two buffer zones. The northern strip is today's Neum Corridor in Bosnia. The southern one later became Sutorina, now part of Montenegro. Ragusa's logic was simple: give up its land border with Venice, so Venice could only attack from the sea, not the land. Ragusa might not beat Venice, but surely the Ottomans could. These two places weren't good ports anyway, so the Ottomans handed them over to their local administration in Bosnia. Surprisingly, this weird geopolitical maneuver worked. It kept Ragusa alive for more than a century. Of course, it worked only because it was the Ottomans. If you cede land to certain countries, Everything changed when Napoleon appeared in 1808 and dissolved the Republic. After Napoleon's defeat in 1815, the area went to Austria, but the two corridors still technically belonged to the Ottomans. When Austria-Hungary took Bosnia in 1878, they didn't bother adjusting the borders. That's how these strange, outdated borders survived, just a historical bug nobody wanted to fix. In 1943, the AVN-OJ Conference initially assigned Sutorina to Bosnia, but in 1947, Tito transferred the southern coastline to Montenegro, leaving only the northern Neum strip to Bosnia. During Yugoslavia, nobody cared about these messy borders. But after Yugoslavia dissolved, old internal lines became international borders, and suddenly, everyone realized the problem. Bosnia's Neum Corridor barely works as a seaport, forcing most of its maritime access through Croatian ports, and Croatia itself was split in half by the corridor, a problem solved only recently. Meanwhile, Sutorina was confirmed as part of Montenegro in a 2015 agreement, and so today, Bosnia is left with a 24-kilometer coastline, too small for large ships and almost invisible on the map.